Meeting back to order. We have a 10 o'clock appointment, and my apologies for us running late. Welcome. If you want to come to the microphone and just state your name for the record.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Staff Sergeant Mark Wilgosh. I'm the Detachment Commander for Strathmore RCMP. I guess to get started, my comments will be made through the chair, or through the say out of the chair to the rest of the council for the duration of this presentation. I'd like to thank council for meeting with us today to go through our Q3 results for our annual performance plan and our policing activities within the municipality of Strathmore and our surrounding rural areas, including Wheatland County. Q3 for our fiscal year ended on December 31st, so we're a little bit delayed in appearing before you, but I do hope that we can appear before you more regularly and more timely going forward for our Q4, which just ended as of March 31st, and going forward for the subsequent reports. I'll be focusing mainly on the rural policing report, which is a bit of an augmented report that I prepared for council to go in a little bit more detail with respect to our policing activities, and again to make this more of a public document for our residents in the rural areas to see what it is exactly that we're doing for policing activities. An update on our policing priorities so far this year with respect to reduction of property crimes. We do have a number of different programs that are in effect right now. Our habitual offender management program, right as of the end of Q3, had 9 offenders that were in the 9 offenders and another location that were identified that we're monitoring. I can tell you that there's likely to be more going into Q4 as we expand our intelligence gathering and monitoring people coming in and out of our municipal and rural areas. As you see here, we select offenders based on the volumes of crime they commit, seriousness of crimes they commit, likelihood of reoffending, and impact of the crime that they have on the community. I believe at least one of our offenders that we're monitoring, we were able to arrest on a breach and then have them remanded into custody to face new charges as a result of our offender monitoring activities. During the quarter, we documented 38 offender checks, and I believe there are more. It's just a matter of gathering up that information from our frontline members, but they are paying close attention. Our Persons of Interest program are people who aren't necessarily bound by release conditions or court order conditions, but they're people that we are aware of, that we monitor in our community. And that's really people that we know have a history with drug trafficking, serious crimes, they've been habitual offenders before, but also involved in high-value crimes, both in our municipal and rural areas. Really, the program is about knowing who's in our community, making sure that we're able to make contact with them, and monitoring their activities to ensure they're living a law-abiding lifestyle. This program has been rolled into our General Investigation Section's responsibility, which the component within our detachment is a 2-member municipally funded resource unit. I've reallocated a rural resource into that unit, so with that we're able to expand where our specialized resources are focusing their attention, which also includes our rural areas. When we look at, not so much, focus or policing based on just municipal as being separate from rural, we live in the same geographical area and we're affected just the same by somebody who may be living in Strathmore and committing crimes in the rural areas, or someone that might be living in the rural area but affecting the general area at large. So with that, we've been able to expand our specialized resources to really gather up that level of intelligence, to pay more focused attention on some of these individuals and problematic properties that we see in both Rocky View County as well as the Wheatland County for the overall safety of our communities. Our security screw program, as of Q3, it was under development, but I'm actually looking to launch that this week. With that, I've obtained security fasteners, which is really designed to help prevent license plate theft. Of the thefts that occurred in Q3, 2 of them were stolen license plates off of vehicles in Wheatland County. The purpose is to, again, if you've ever had your license plate lost or stolen, it's inconvenient to not only replace the license plate itself, it costs time, money, time out of your day, but offenders, the whole point of stealing license plates off of vehicles is to put them on a similar make of vehicle that they've stolen, and it enables them to commit further crimes. And remain undetected. It's also very unsafe for our members when you're stopping a vehicle and you don't know that it's stolen or not. So I do have a visual representation here for you, just if you wanted to have a look and pass it along. And pamphlets about the program as well for council. I will be advertising this week. We do have locations in Strathmore at our 3 dealerships, as well as the fire department and the RCMP detachment. Anybody who wants a security screw installed in their vehicle, whether you're a Strathmore resident or rural resident, can get one for free. And if you want it removed from your vehicle, if you're going to sell or change your plates, just come on in about a week ahead of time. We'll be happy to swap them out for you. Yes?
This driver's only available through you?
Yes.
Because it's very similar to a Torx habit.
It's similar, but you notice there's a hollow pin point.
Yeah.
So a person who's really motivated might try to fabricate something or find something similar that might work. But really, if it's going to take more than a minute to try and steal something, quite often we find our offenders just move
That's
on.
a good deterrent.
Yep. And just if it's known in our communities that we have these programs and that the more people use these fasteners, we're just going to see less people coming out here to try and steal license plates. And that's really the whole goal of the program. Our SEPTED and business outreach programs are still under development, so there'll be more to come on that. Our hotspot patrols are still in effect, so I've given some breakdown of numbers there for you. And just as a bit of an update, two nights ago on Sunday evening, we had one of our members just proactively patrolling through Carsland. They noticed a vehicle driving suspiciously, which fled on them when they tried to stop them. Eventually, just by keeping a long eye or visual surveillance on them, the vehicle stopped at a rural property. We were able to call our police dog section out. They conducted a successful track, and I guess either fortunate or unfortunate, depending which way you look at it, but the offender didn't initially comply, so the dog was required to give a bit of an incentive nudge or a little nibble, if you will, to get him to come out, and we were able to take that offender into custody. So we'll be doing a media release on that either today or tomorrow. But it's another one of our Calgary urban area habitual offenders that was touring through the area in a stolen vehicle, by the way. It was established that was stolen, and just by our members being out and proactively patrolling, we were able to apprehend someone who is a very active property criminal.
That was very nicely worded, by the way.
I do know I'm on camera, so. As you see here for the rest of our measures here, when we look at our property crime measures we're looking at, we see that our theft of motor vehicles remained unchanged this quarter at 3 as compared to the year before. When we look at theft from motor vehicles, it went up just a little bit, but we're looking at license plates and a couple vehicles that were left unlocked when I look at the numbers there. When we look at break-in enters, as far as quarter 3 is concerned, the numbers dropped from 12 to 0 inside of Wheatland County. So overall year-to-date achievement, we're running a little hot as far as theft of motor vehicles and theft from motor vehicles as a result of some upward trends in quarter 1 and quarter 2. We saw quarter 3 start to come down with some of the implementation of our programs. In quarter 4, we'll see where the results come in. I'm just working on that now, but I can say we're definitely at the lower end of our 5-year statistical norms. So we are in positive territory as far as I can see. And we'll look to carry that trend forward into the next fiscal year. With respect to traffic safety, we're looking to reduce collisions and reportable collisions and injury collisions and overall collisions together. And to do that, we are still rolling out a number of regular enforcement activities. That includes our traffic safety enforcement that we regularly conduct through our rural areas. We conduct check stops throughout the area, so there were 10 documented check stops, which I've laid out the results there for you, and just some visuals as far as some of the locations that our members are at. We've implemented our bar walk program where we were conducting bar walks throughout quarter 3. We're looking to up that as the weather improves, and of course we have less and no public health restrictions in place, which we do see. We do believe we'll see some more activity in our licensed establishments. Really, the idea is we want to help promote people making good decisions with how they're going to get home, and we want to deter criminal activity that occurs within licensed establishments. Our enhanced road safety initiative, we're piloting within Strathmore, but I'm looking at more of an overall program for the rural areas. So I can't really get into too many details for now with what that will look like. But I'm looking to leverage some of our provincial resources to enhance the visibility with respect to road safety, but also to help with the visibility to deter rural crime in our rural areas. And I'm looking to set the program up in such a way that it's not going to come up as a visual or a noticeable cost to the ratepayers or as far as to support the program and that enhanced initiative itself. So there will be more to come on that, so it is something we're working on. When we look at our collision comparisons, we do see in Wheatland County that we're seeing some reductions. Injury collisions did increase during quarter 3, but when I look at the numbers, we're looking at animal strikes, and I haven't figured out how to keep deer off the road. So I'm open to suggestions, but that's a majority of collisions that we're seeing in Wheatland County. Reportable collisions did come down slightly, and I've given you some visualizations for our year-to-date progress with our reportable and injury collisions for you. Third priority with our community engagement and Indigenous community engagement. I've added the Indigenous community engagement to the rural reporting, just hearing that there's an interest with respect to our activities and how we engage with our Indigenous communities. You'll see that we did attend I guess a tour, if you will, of the Old Sun College, as well as our first Indigenous awareness and cultural sensitivity training sessions for police with one of the elders at Siksika Nation. That's part one of a 4-part series that all of our members are going to be attending, again, to expand our knowledge and again, enhance our ability to provide service to Indigenous communities and build those bridges of trust. Through Q3, you'll notice, though, some of the highlights in our rural areas is we did have members attending Remembrance Day ceremonies at our rural communities, which was very well received. We're looking to try and expand that to ensure that each one of our communities has someone in search to participate for Remembrance Day activities going forward. Our community liaison program is also in full swing. I've listed the number of organizations that we have currently a member assigned to as a liaison. Again, that's building more community partnerships. We're able to tell our community groups what we're doing about policing concerns in the community, but we're also able to receive that input as far as perceptions of crime and to be really available to these programs to again build those levels of trust, to build that support within the community for policing services and to let our residents and community groups know what we're doing about crimes in their communities or how we're keeping them safe. I can say these programs are effective where our members are in the community, being part of the community, because that's what we're supposed to be doing in a community policing model, but also it enables a level of comfort where people can come forward and report crime. One small example, when I was in Chestermere, our library liaison, just because of the person that they were, fantastic at public speaking and was a very approachable person. They were able to, or one of the staff felt comfortable coming forward to report a long history of domestic violence, and we were able to help them relieve that situation. So it's just about being present where people are, being approachable, and enabling those opportunities to report crime or at least help in a situation that they wouldn't normally have approached us with. I've laid out separated our calls for service as well as our year-to-date traffic investigations and files for service, and I separate that for you just to make sure there's no misconceptions with our reporting and our stats. Every time that our members issue a violation ticket or they have a traffic-related concern reported, that creates a separate file. So I just want to make sure that visualization is present there for you as well. That concludes my overall summary of the Q3 report. I did provide some statistics for you for calendar year, last calendar year, where we did see some good reductions, and I've given you the January, February crime stats, but we'll be making the March crime stats available very shortly. And I'm open for questions if there are any.
Thank you. Any questions for Staff Sergeant Wilgosh?
I've just got one, and please take this as a citizen. I've noticed that on the hotspot patrols, you do spend an inordinate amount of your time in Wrangler Park, which is city limits, and Conridge. So are you looking at maybe staffing your Langdon sub-detachment better for them to be able to make those calls? That is the worst drive in the world from my place, which is just to there, because you're going, it doesn't matter if you're going through Chestermere and all that kind of stuff. So just interesting how you propose to, now that you have a substation in Langdon, to do your patrols in that neck of the woods.
Yeah, we fully appreciate that. Depending on the calls for service or crimes that are being committed, does tend to suck up some of our resources over to the Rocky View and Wrangler area, as you see. This past Q4, you'll see a bit more of an equal share of time being spent in our communities on the Wheatland County side. As far as where we're spending our time, But it can be difficult if we're seeing a lot of crime being reported in certain areas. That's going to draw some of our resources, which is why I encourage everyone to report crime, regardless of what it is or if we can do something about it or not, so we can identify areas where activity is happening, so we can devote some resources. But I have shifted some of our resources to spend more of our time on our Wheatland County side. We are getting a larger volume of higher value theft and industrial theft happening in Wrangler Park. It's a bit of a difficult situation that we're trying to deal with effectively, and that's moving forward. As far as Langdon Detachment is concerned, we do have 3 members that are assigned to Langdon. We're going through the final stages of occupying the space that's been made available, and there will be front counter service provided to Langdon. Now, Langdon is a community over 5,000 population. While it's still a hamlet under Rockview County's umbrella, there is a municipal policing service agreement in place. There are 3 dedicated members there, but it does not provide 24-hour policing, which requires our rural resources to spend some time there in off hours and responding to calls for service. As far as how that applies to Wrangler Park, those members are supposed to be dedicated to the community of Langdon, just as the members in Chestermere are dedicated to the city of Chestermere. Because they don't have a rural component. It's not set up as a post model the way that Strathmore is. How are they going to address Wrangler Park? We do have a Rockview County enhanced position that is in that area, and we're pushing their attention out there again as part of our crime reduction prevention efforts. That will create some breathing room, if you will, for our rural resources to spend more time more equally throughout the rest of our rural areas. As far as Langdon's concerned, as it grows, we're hoping to add more resources there so it can become more of a standalone detachment on its own. But until that occurs, we're using the resources that we have. And as you see in the reports that I have laid out, we're trying to be more strategic and effective with how we're focusing our crime prevention efforts, utilizing the resources that we have available to us.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
Just one quick one, and it's technically not for you, but it doesn't matter, you're a member. So in Hazars, quite often we'll get the people in the local town Facebook page saying, oh, I saw a suspicious looking white SUV, blah, blah. Is that something you guys would be interested in? Like, without a tag, it's pretty tough to, there's thousands of white SUVs around, right? But could we post something for them saying, here's the stuff that we'd really like to see, color obviously, styled, and at least make, whether it's a GMC or a Ford or whatever, and then the tag if they can get it. Would that be helpful to you guys?
It sure would. As I alluded to, we want to hear reports of crime so we know what's going on. When we look at our smaller communities, people know who belongs and who doesn't. Like it's very noticeable. So if it looks suspicious to somebody, if they're driving slowly or stopping houses and moving along, unless it says Amazon on the side, that's probably suspicious activity. So things we're looking for good witnesses: observe, record, report. So license plates are good. Physical descriptors of the driver and some detailed descriptions of vehicles. That's what we're looking for. And if our members are able to get out to these areas, and maybe it's suspicious, maybe it's not, but that's what we get paid to do. But if it is suspicious, it may be one of the circumstances where we were able to prevent a crime from happening. And then that's, the example I gave for Carsland. Our members driving around, they were able to pick out what looked suspicious, and it turned out to be a stolen vehicle with a person with a very long criminal history that we were able to apprehend before they committed more crimes.
Any other questions? On behalf of Council, I'd like to thank you for sharing the report and the results and all of the work that you're doing in the county. We appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you.
We also have a 10:30 appointment. I'd like to welcome the new Staff Sergeant from Gleason RCMP Detachment. Welcome. We'll just have you state your name for the record. Good morning.
Sergeant Gavin Bowles. I'm the acting staff right now in Tim's absence until one's named here in short future.
Wonderful. Welcome.
Thank you very kindly. So our system was down this morning. I couldn't get the quarterlies. I had sent them to you initially, but I did already have printed from last week the comparisons for the last 5 years. So I printed off 11 copies. I'll pass those around so at least you can be on the same page. Do you mind, sir? Thank you. As you know, majority of our work in Gleason is with Siksika on the nation, so I think we do just shy of 95% of our work on the nation. When I came in November, one of the things Tim talked about doing was getting more out into the counties, and that's here, Arrowwood, and the surrounding areas. We've, as a part of that, we started a rural patrol log. Essentially, we've basically started keeping track of where we're going and when we're doing what. So we've increased our patrols from almost primarily on the reserve and nation to all of our counties, and we're trying to get to every corner of it. So we went from, when I came in November, we were at just shy of 400 patrols, and when I had a look, I did the math that something like 80% of that was on the nation itself. When I just did the numbers last week for our final, we're up to 794 patrols, and since then, over half of our patrols have increased into the counties. Coming from a rural background myself, I understand the importance that it is to satisfy all of our stakeholders and the clients that we have. So I hope you guys have seen us out and about a bit more. We've been doing our best to try and get there. Likewise as well, we do have a community position that we use for our domestic violence coordinator as well. She's been doing her best to get into the schools again now that things have normalized slightly, and we've started seeing requests come by. She's put the word out that we're ready to come back in if you want. So I think we've got 3 school visits through the counties, not counting Siksika, scheduled now between right now and the end of the school year. So hopefully your schools will start saying they're seeing us around again, which is pretty exciting. We got a lot of members who are young, ambitious, and most of them joined the Mounties for this reason, to get out and meet the public schools and the students. So hopefully they'll start coming here soon. We do most of our work, again, on the nation. We don't see much violent or even thefts in our area for Wheatland County. Most of our stuff does come from the nation and the other side, going into Arrowwood. Although we've picked up patrols, we don't see a whole lot of concern on our end. And I also haven't heard from anyone on your end to give me any reason to believe that we should increase things in a certain area. However, we're always open to the fact that you guys may see and hear things that we're not, the Facebook thing being prime example. So please let me know. I am still relatively new. I only took over for Tim in an acting capacity in November. So I won't pretend to be in the loop and everything, but we're doing our best. Equally, according to that, there was a district initiative called Operation Cold Start, where we went out about a month and a half ago and started looking at things. So our first couple of days ended up being on the nation because people were just so used to most of our thefts coming out of there. The next few days, myself and the acting ops NCO got involved, and we started doing the county as well. So we took the outskirts of Wheatland, and the members spread themselves. We came in early, we typically have members in starting at 7, on call at 5. So we brought our on-call members in. We just did a shift adjustment and started them at 5 a.m. to get around. So we did the county the following 3 days that we did the initiative. So I'm hoping that you guys would recognize that as well. You'll notice in the stats that are provided, they do comparison for previous years. This year, you'll see that some of the numbers are up in the case of assaults and sexual assaults. That does not rectify. Although I couldn't print the quarterly, I just jumped on our recording system this morning. The amount of offenses in those serious nature don't reflect what we're seeing in Wheatland. Over 95% of that is coming from our other obligations. So if you have any questions into specifics, I can absolutely try and help you with that. But don't be alarmed by those numbers. They're not a perfect reflection of what's going on here in your county. Short of that, I don't have a lot. I am new. I met Matthew there a couple of months ago. I came in to deal with some stuff, and I thought it would be a good idea to get in and meet the council, and hopefully have some news on the new commander. All I can say on that is that the promotion process is well underway, and as far as I know, the process has gone past the validation stage, and we'll be going to selection as soon as the board can get that to us. And we don't have a timeline for that. It's kind of out of our control, but I do know it's well underway. So we're hoping to see a staff in place, by summer will be our hope. Any questions or anything at all? Any specifics?
Any questions?
How many members are there at the detachment?
Yeah, so we're running 16 constables, and 3 corporal positions. Now, at the moment, we just had 2 corporals, one promoted out of our detachment and one transferred out of our detachment. So we have one just named that's coming in, and one that just went for promotion the same time as the staff sergeant. And it's the same situation where we do believe it's past validation and ready for selection. So we're looking at a staff sergeant, 3 corporals, and 16 constables.
And you're aware of, we fund a watch clerk in the Strathmore Detachment. Is there a administrative, like, is there anything on the county level that we can do to get more boots on the street, so to speak? Like, would a situation like that, would that be of any assistance to you?
I don't think you'll meet a member who will say the more boots on the streets. It's not something we want, and we ask every time we do every meeting. And fortunate for us, Tim is now our district advisory NCO and is lobbying for us from everything that he started doing and that we're hopefully continuing and building on. So anything we could do, we're always looking for members. We would love to have enough to run. Right now we run a schedule with on-call. So we basically do members until 5 a.m. and then from 5 a.m. until 7 there are members on call. That's fantastic. However, members aren't obligated to be in our detachment directly. They're obligated to be within 40 kilometers of our detachment area. So many live in Strathmore, for example. We would love to get to a point where we could be 24. It's a small amount of hours on the clock, but it's a big amount of member obligation is the thing to make that 24-hour schedule work when you factor in people who take vacation, which now with our new collective agreement, we're being asked to take all of our leave. You add that with injuries or personal issues and whatnot, just a couple of members won't make that work. So to answer your question, we would love to have as much we can get, and I'll be saying the thing. I meet with Siksika tomorrow in Arrowwood next week, and I would gladly say the same thing. But I also understand the costs that are involved with getting more members in our detachment.
My question sort of more along the lines of, can any administration help? Because we're better off. There's a possibility that we could fund, as we do in Strathmore, we could fund a position.
Yeah.
That I'm not sure if you're aware of how the watch clerk works in Strathmore.
No.
They are, as far as I know, they are a civilian that fill out a lot of the reports, so that allows the police officer to not have to sit in the office and fill out the reports. The reports go to a certain point, so he's allowed to be out on the street, being a presence out on the street. So I would assume that if Tim is on we will be getting a request. I just would love to see if there's anything we as a county can do to help you.
Yeah, absolutely. And I apologize, when you said the watch clerk, I don't want to pretend to know the business in Strathmore because I'm, again, fairly new to the area. We have 2 full-time PSEs right now that are our clerks. We have one more that was just announced that is at staffing process, which will be full-time. And we've had one lady who's been off ill since before my time here in Gleason. And we just got permission. I requested around February, mid-February, I learned that she was off long-term. So I just requested that will be listed on a 90-day term. So that was granted about a month or so ago. It failed to get through the process locally to find someone to staff it, so it's been gone to their national staffing process. That is a little outside of what we do normally for members. However, we do have an office manager that follows that. So in terms of local, we are fairly well staffed with 3, including the office manager, and 2 more potentially coming through the door. However, we don't use it as a watch issue, like you say, or a resource, I should say, in terms of filling out the reports. All of our members still do the reports. If there was room in the budget to get the extra body for that purpose, I misunderstood you, I apologize, that would be fantastic. We don't have a system where we don't have a callback. We're still a relatively small detachment, and we don't have someone who does reports. So that would be fantastic if there's anything on the county level.
We currently passed a bylaw that allowed, on a 2-year term, a cannabis retail outlet in Gleason. We sent around, or staff sent around to the RCMP, was there any concerns? Like, there was no comments there. Do you typically not comment on those?
No, actually, I sent that out to the whole membership, given the fact that they know the area so well and they are the boots front line on the ground. I sent it to everyone when I received that, and I asked anyone to send nil responses with any concerns. The whole consensus around the office, of course, it's a big topic around our lunchroom and the workers' pit, is that it's a positive thing in terms of the way we've had some, more so on the other side of Siksika, we've had some concerns with people previously having large grows and whatnot. And since it's become legalized, people have access on a better level. So most of the membership, the consensus is that that will continue to grow when we have something locally. Also, we have found that those who enjoy to recreationally use marijuana, oftentimes when they can't find it, will turn to other things. This will be a controlled product that we know won't be laced or cut with anything different. So the consensus in our office is positive.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, thank you. And I apologize if none of the membership got back to you. I'll address that. Thank you.
Kind of on that same note, that we also canvassed the local area, and I was concerned about a lot of the comments from the public in the Gleason area. There still appears to be a lot of complaints, like I can look at all this, like uttering threats, mischief, disturbing the peace, Liquor Act, things like that. And just, and it was people wanted to oppose a cannabis because of this ongoing. And, I drive around Gleason and it does look very run down. So just wondering if there's any kind of programs or anything that we can do. And I realize probably because of Siksika, it's a sensitive nature, but, how can we mitigate those concerns, and how do we, there's a lot of stories that we hear about Gleason and people not being safe to walk around, and I just want to try to fix that. There are people, they're Amber's area, obviously, so.
Yeah, likewise. And I share I can tell you when I drove through, when I first accepted this posting, come from the north, my first thought was basically what you said. I drove through my personal vehicle, and it does have that appearance of being run down. And there's a certain demographic downtown that affects the comfort of walking to a grocery store or, even run the beer store there. We share the concern in terms of what it'll do for the presence downtown, I'll say, of people from outside of Gleason proper. However, in the past, before COVID, before we had all these restrictions and we were being asked essentially to not have the same involvement with the public while doing our job as we did before, there were foot patrols and pretty healthy relations with the group downtown. Our members still are, anytime we leave or come back to town, we're always asking members to stop, have a chat with those who are sitting around. I do it myself as well. That's something we hope to pick up again now that things have normalized and the weather's getting nicer to assist with that as well. We'll never, I don't believe, be able to stop the presence that's there, just for the simple fact that this is home to them. Siksika is right around the corner. So I don't think we'll be able to stop it, but I do think that extra patrols will mitigate that. Our community position when I came in was almost dedicated 100% to domestic violence. Since I've been in, I took a model that, I shouldn't say I took a model, I adapted a model that we used before, where now we've kind of shifted that responsibility shared more upon our watch supervisors, myself included. So we're hoping that gives her a chance to focus on the community, which is a big part of that position, more so than just domestic violence, which is a huge problem to the same degree in your area. So we want to see that benefit. So I'm hoping that all of that together with the increased rural patrols will help keep some people that we don't want around at home, or at least keep their visit short.
Just to build on what Sergeant Bowles said as well, just prior to the transition with the detachment leadership, I had met with Staff Sergeant Kelly, Corporal Andrews, K Division had attended as well, and representatives from Siksika Nation as well. And I know that there are some plans going on within K Division and with Gleason RCMP to work on some different strategies just to improve some of the significant challenges that Gleason RCMP deals with that should benefit the Gleason community as well. And of course, during a transition, things are always a little bit more challenging, but that work is ongoing. And I have anecdotally heard of some improvements, even though that maybe wasn't reflected in the correspondence regarding the cannabis store. And there's definitely still issues. And there's definitely work to be done, and I think it's important for our council to work with Siksika Nation as well with the RCMP also. So it's definitely a valid concern and issue we need to work on.
Absolutely. And one further thing I did mention, recently, in the first week of November, we attended, myself, Tim, and Dan, the acting optencio, attended a workshop in Calgary for a hub system that's been brought into Siksika Nation. This is, I don't know if you guys are aware, it's a program that started in Ireland, and other reserves around our area as well as Saskatchewan have picked it up, and it's worked very well. This whole program, we meet every Tuesday as our part of this program with we have crisis, we have victim services, as well as the local resources that the nation likes to use for their own cultural issues and cultural solutions. So every week we talk about targeting problem areas as well as assisting those who ask for help inadvertently. We do have elders who are being taken advantage of, and certain demographic are using certain properties to do their whatever they please without any real assistance. And this is something that wasn't being brought to us because no one wanted to talk to the police. Now with the involvement of a couple of elders and a couple of the crisis workers that are local, we're finding that we're able to target and help. And this isn't a bad targeting necessarily. Sometimes it is. Sometimes we get housing. We were after having a few houses vacated, boarded up the windows and make sure that they weren't able to get back in. But at the same time, we're able to target those who need the help. So this is something also. We have noticed that some of our regular clientele, two of our main clients that spent a lot of nights with us have recently went clean and have been sober for over 2 months since the hub came in. Now, this only started in November. This is a growing program, and we hope that it continues on for some time and that resources jump on board. But I think that'll also add to some of those issues we have.
What does it stand for?
So the hub, it's actually just, the hub program was created, they call it a hub because everyone meets, so every resource that's required. So any agency that is available to help, from housing to financial income support to RCMP, family services, crisis, we all meet at the table and an issue will be brought up, whether that was a request for someone to help, and we all meet at a hub. Right now, much of that hub has been done by a visual, but those of us local are able to attend. So essentially, we basically, an issue will be addressed, and in this issue, we'll all go down the checklist. Okay, is RCMP required on this one? Yes or no? And then we'll discuss our part. Is family services required? Yes or no? And that's where the hub model comes from. It's very successful in other countries and reserves around here.
Thank you.
I would just like to say that that's something that's one of the key recommendations of the Alberta Provincial Police recommendation. So I'm happy to hear that RCMP are already implementing some of those good recommendations.
And I won't take the credit. It was something that Family Services and the nation sought out after hearing of success on other nations. However, we were on board from day one, and we'll continue to be on board until there's another program that we can transition to.
That's awesome.
Excellent. Any other questions? On behalf of council, thank you for coming and thank you for bringing the update on the statistics. And it's very nice to meet you, and we're very grateful for the work that you do in Wheatland County. Thank you.
Likewise, nice to meet you all, and thank you.
Thank you. Sorry. Yes. Brian, could we just take like a 5-minute break and then go to the closed session?
Yes.
Does that work for admin?
Yeah.
Okay, we'll just take a 5-minute break. No. Good morning. We'll call the meeting back to order. We do have a closed session agenda item at 11 a.m. under FOIP section 24. I'll move us into closed session. All in favor? Motion is carried.